that'll ease some of the shattering. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm getting about every other word you're saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I mean, honestly, I think it's sometimes I look at those types
He's doing a radio or something.
Great bus. So I'm gonna have to mute.
I just think he was.
I got you. Okay.
Sound like a road game.
No, good times. Yeah, sorry for having to move this to tonight. We had our department had its had an external site view review team on Monday, and I got hung up in that. So that's why we got to move to tonight. So sorry about that.
No worries.
Are there any questions from last week's assignment?
No.
Okay, good. I think for the most part, you all did a really good job. Some people forgot about, some of the traditional media outlets that would, traditional publics that would normally be used as well. Sometimes we forget that we need to think about them as a public in how we actually communicate with them. But outside of that, I think you all did a pretty good job. So this week's assignment actually wants you to look at the different media or the different communication channels that you would use. And like last week, the assignment actually calls for it to be like a 3 to 5 page paper. But really, what I'm looking for with this one is not really a paper at all. I just want you to have the different outlets that you would be using, why you would be using them, what information is going to be shared there, and if it's a specific outlet, some contact information that you would use to actually touch base with them. Like if you were going to send them a press release or contact them if you wanted to run a story idea by them or something like that, if that makes sense. Okay. Any questions there?
Yes. So if it's just like email or the internet, we wouldn't have to include the information. But if it's like a
newspaper or a radio station or TV station or magazine or things of that nature.
Say it again. I
lost you there.
We need the contact. I want the contact information. Like if you're going to be using something such as a TV station or a newspaper or radio station.
Okay.
Who is the person or department or persons that you would be reaching out to?
Okay. So if it's for my situation, at the university we have our own radio television network. Just the contact information, possibly an email to add to that would be sufficient. Yeah,
that would be fine.
Okay.
But what about for mine? How would I contact them? Because we really don't have radio at the Hammerock Community Center.
But you've got local radio stations.
True. So you said, Y100. I have an idea.
If that's going to be part of your publics, why wouldn't they be? I mean, most TV stations and radio stations, newspapers, they've got spots for PSAs. That it's not going to cost you anything. If you wanted to just send them information and have them broadcast it, if you had something that you wanted to have them run a story on, most newspapers would put something in there about, registrations for a given sports league or class or whatever, in the newspaper, in that PSA section. Make sense, Dylan?
Makes sense.
Okay, good. All right. So what? Excuse me. What questions do you have about this week's topics?
I did have a question. I'm just trying to pull it up real quick.
Right.
Okay. Trying to remember where I wrote it down. For the discussion, just kind of just tag teaming off of some of those videos that we watched earlier in the week, or I watched earlier in the week, and kind of just going off of those basically is the direction that kind of where we should be headed, and then talk about different levels of staffing. Like I know at our level, at the Division III level, we really only have one guy that's dedicated to that. But should we kind of expand to broader horizons and, go into like what the Division I schools are looking at, or just kind of stick with what we know and what we're familiar with?
I think really, if you look at it from your own personal perspective of how it can be used, and or what your not necessarily your dream scenario would be, but a realistic scenario of what could or should be done to enhance the overall PR aspect of your organization would be fine.
Okay.
I think even at the Division III level, I think there are a lot of institutions that are really, putting more resources behind the social media campaigns, primarily because it doesn't necessarily really cost you anything other than time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, like they may have somebody who's dedicated strictly to doing that. And, as long as they're getting the results and they're seeing that return on that investment of time, I think more and more will go down that route.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something you need in this day and age. You never know what these kids are going to put out there, and you got to kind of monitor it. So
Exactly. Exactly.
It's it's the world we live in. Okay, that makes sense. That's good for me.
Other questions?
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes, I did.
And I bet people in Atlanta are bummed.
They are. They are.
That would be an understatement, I'm sure, Dylan.
Yes. I actually, Friday morning, I flew. I mean, excuse me, Friday. Monday morning, I flew from D.C. to Atlanta. I got into the Atlanta airport about 8 o'clock, and it was quiet. The airport was just mosing around. Not good. So, but I would encourage you for this week to really look at the video that's online for this week of Tim Gavel. If you haven't already watched that, I think that he does a really good job of kind of describing where we are with social media in our industry. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. But those two videos are I think are pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree. Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Perfect.
Okay, so the other, actually, that's really all I've got because next week we are back to Monday. I'll be in Florida again, but I'll be we can still do it at 5:00 on Monday. All right.
Okay.
So in the meantime, again, as always, if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right.
Okay. Great.
Y'all
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye.